Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. So, have you ever looked at your paycheck on a Friday, and by Tuesday, you're just sitting there wondering if it was all a mirage? I mean, you earn a perfectly good salary, yet somehow you still feel completely stuck financially. Well, you are definitely not alone in feeling this way. It's a massive paradox that affects so many of us, and today we're going to unpack exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how to break free from it.
We usually think the magic fix to our money problems is just making more money, right? But is it? Why do good earners still struggle financially? The truth is, it's rarely about how much money you actually make. Instead, it's all about those everyday habits that quietly trap us in what we can call the income illusion. You can out-earn a lot of things in life, but you can almost never out-earn bad daily habits.
Okay, let's dive right into this. To help build a blueprint for success, we're going to group these 10 destructive habits into a few key areas. We'll be covering the income illusion, fixing your financial foundation, avoiding debt and ego, investing in your future, and finally, the wealth-building mindset.
Starting off with our first concept, the income illusion, and breaking the paycheck paradox.
Now, what's really interesting here as we move to the next step is fixing your financial foundation. Basically, stopping the bleeding.
You absolutely cannot build a house on a shaky foundation. And you definitely can't build wealth on a leaky ship. So here are the first 3 habits keeping you grounded. First up, living paycheck to paycheck, meaning your bank account basically hits zero right as the next check arrives. Second, operating without a simple monthly budget. When you don't give every single dollar a job, it's incredibly easy for your money to just magically disappear. And third, ignoring an emergency fund, which leaves you navigating life with absolutely zero safety net.
So, the crucial point is this. You've got to save 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And why is this specific number so important? Well, because unexpected expenses aren't a matter of if, they're a matter of when. Whether it's sudden medical bills, a random car repair, or emergency home maintenance, having this 3 to 6 month buffer is literally the shield that protects you against devastating financial setbacks. It just creates immediate stability.
Let's move along and see how this builds into our next area. Avoiding debt and ego, the psychology of spending.
These next 3 habits, they're heavy psychological burdens. First is relying heavily on credit cards to fund your lifestyle. Carrying those high-interest balances month after month aggressively drains your wealth. Then there's spending just to impress others. Buying a round of expensive drinks or designer shoes simply to keep up appearances. And finally, emotional purchases. We've all been there, falling for those late-night, hyper-targeted social media ads that are designed perfectly to trigger your impulse buying.
And this brilliantly illustrates a core conflict we face every single day: showing wealth versus building wealth. Expensive cars, luxury clothes, and the absolute latest gadgets might make you look incredibly successful on the outside, but actually, buying things you don't truly need actively sabotages your real financial goals. True wealth building is quiet. It's about investing, hitting your milestones, and buying only what you actually need, rather than what looks good to strangers.
To stop that emotional and ego-driven spending in its tracks, I want you to ask yourself this exact question before every single purchase. Is it a need or simply a temporary want? Just pausing to ask this completely disrupts the impulse. It forces you to evaluate if this purchase actually serves your long-term goals or if it's just a fleeting desire fueled by a shiny ad or maybe just a really stressful day at work.
All right, transitioning to our next phase, investing in your future, planting seeds for tomorrow.
To plant those seeds for tomorrow, you've got to avoid these future traps. The first is delaying investing altogether because you mistakenly think you need thousands of dollars just to get started. The second is ignoring retirement planning. Actually, the math on this is pretty harsh. If you wait too long to begin, you miss out on years of growth, which forces you to sacrifice a huge chunk of your income later in life just to catch up.
The absolute best antidote to delaying is compound growth. It's this incredible principle where a small amount, invested consistently, grows exponentially over time. Why? Because your earnings literally generate their own earnings. Think of it like rolling a tiny snowball down a long hill. It just keeps getting bigger and faster. You do not need to be rich to start this. Time and compound growth will do all the heavy lifting for you, but only if you start early.
Which brings us to our final focus, the wealth-building mindset, the internal discipline.
Building wealth is a marathon, guys, and the final 2 habits keeping people stuck are failing to learn and giving up too quickly. Money management is a skill, and it requires constant education, like reading books or watching reliable finance explainers.
On top of that, you absolutely must cultivate patience. Markets will rise and they will fall. Setbacks will happen. But successful investors don't panic. They stay consistent and they keep their eyes squarely on the horizon.
So, how do we bring this all together? Well, breaking these habits doesn't require overnight riches. It just requires replacing them with this simple daily formula. Spend less than you earn. Take the difference and save it consistently. Then invest that money wisely, and finally, never stop learning about personal finance. It really is that straightforward.
I want to highlight this quote from our source material because it delivers such a powerful, empowering message. Financial success isn't determined by luck. It's built through discipline, patience, and smart decisions over many years. The habits you choose to practice today are directly shaping the financial future you're going to experience tomorrow. You have the power to make those smart decisions right now.
So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Which one good money habit will you start today to build your financial freedom? You don't have to tackle all 10 at once. That's overwhelming. Just pick one single area where you know you're stuck. Apply what we've talked about today and take that very first step toward lasting financial freedom.